This poem's called Some Days I Hate the Factory. It's from my chat book I put out called Give Us This Day Our Daily Grind, an ode to the American factory worker. Some days I hate the factory. My friend, a co-worker, nailed it when he said he hates the factory because too many people punch in and they never punch back out. The factory is the pinnacle of their education. This is where they'll get their degree, majoring in car notes and Disney World vacations. The factory means security in big suburban houses. The factory means a new SUV every year. The factory means a timeshare at Myrtle Beach. I knew my friend had nailed it. This is why I write poems at 6:05 a.m. when the assembly line stops for 6 minutes. This is why I read books on my 15-minute breaks. I don't want to graduate from the factory. The factory means I can buy art and almost all the books that I want. The factory means annual vacations to underground literary festivals. The factory means concert tickets and chasing tough luck dreams in Vegas poker games. The factory means freedom for 14 hours a day. The factory means pockets full of cigarettes and tanks full of gasoline for weekend adventures. My friend is right. Some days I hate the factory because I can only tolerate so much talk about sports. Some days I hate the factory because I don't understand American dreams. Some days I hate the factory knowing that in 22 years I'll graduate anyway and limp away with the degree I never really wanted. Some days I hate the factory because I'm afraid I'll never punch back out.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to get rowdy?
Yeah.
This first poem is called 1,000 Words. It's an old poem I wrote about 12 years ago. Haven't read it in a long time. I've framed houses, roofed houses, and painted houses. I've cut steel, poured concrete, ran machines, and fixed them too. I've ran printing presses that were 3 stories tall, ran presses that stamped car parts, ran presses that made boxes. I've driven fork trucks, delivery trucks, and dump trucks. I've milked cows, dug ditches, picked corn, beans, and watermelons. I've spent thousands on blue jeans and work boots. I got drunk a lot, got arrested a bunch, fucked all night too often, or not often enough. And I wrote 1,000 poems and 1,000 words, and I've got 1,000 more to write.
Yeah.
I had to read this poem tonight. It's a 1-page poem I wrote called At the Holland Haus. A 1-car garage music venue, listening to local bands jam. I found the heart I lost when I was 27. Crowded in there shoulder to shoulder, with music filling in any space left over. Lead singers giving it everything they had for 50 people on a random Saturday night. I felt the rhythm vibrating in my bones, my feet tapping involuntary beats, out there at Holland Haus, on the edge of Toledo, but right square in the middle of all this heart. All right, this poem's called Summer Nights. I felt like this is a really good night to break this piece out. Summer nights. I live for summer nights when the bugs swarm street lamps and the inner city hookers walk with swagger. The summer nights that last forever when you sit outside under midnight moons with your quirky friends, watching a fire burn low, laughing until the dawn breaks. When neighborhoods come alive as the sun goes down and the heat fades over house parties and backyard s'mores. These are the nights that live forever in the hearts of men. When police sirens wail and motorcycles roar, random fireworks displays break out, and you give no cares to early morning weekdays, work days. Yeah, man, I live for summer nights. Nights made for lovers, sleeping naked in tangled sheets as the air conditioner in the windows hums a lullaby. Nights full of endless hope and camaraderie, of sin and lust, when we're all immortal, if even just for a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
This poem is the title poem from my first ever chapbook that got published 3 years ago from EMP Press. Esno Martin's here tonight. He is the CEO of EMP Press. This poem is called Bury My Heart in the Gutter. By the way, there are copies of my novel, $100 a Week Motel, for $15 available. I got some left from my press that gave me. A couple of them I had to buy, so I had to restock. And I do have, Easy's got copies of Bury My Heart in the Gutter for sale, I think for $5. It's a pretty fucked up little chapbook, you'll probably like it.
It's great. And also, isn't it about the price of the blowjobs that lady in your book was trying to sell you?
Pretty close.
All right. See?
Bury my heart in the gutter. How much longer will I have to endure cable television and paid infomercials? How much longer will I have to endure 24-hour news channels? How much longer will I have to drive through small towns with clean streets and rows of American flags? Or drive through suburbia with its shiny cop cars and shiny cops carrying shiny guns? How much longer will I have to live counting down the days until they put planet Earth on the endangered species list? How much longer? I do not know. But when the end comes, bury my heart in the gutter. Bury it where the pimps and the street preachers work, near the corners where junkies and hustlers share space. Bury it in an alley behind a dumpster or under a bridge where the stray dogs live. Take me back home where $3.75 will buy a bottle of strong, cheap wine. The gutter where I found the people that God never loved. The gutter where I learned that crack cocaine is both the devil and the angel of life. Where I learned that fucking and fighting are the coping mechanisms of damaged people. And that there's nothing softer than the maternal instincts of a kind-hearted whore. Where I learned that when you have nothing, there is freedom. Where I learned that hell is a real place and you don't have to die to go there. Where I learned that I am more than my addictions. And where I learned the most valuable lesson of all, that the same moon that shines on Wall Street is visible from the gutter if you're just smart enough to look up once in a while. My friend, you may not understand, but when my nightmare ends, bury my heart where it first came to love. Smack dab in the middle of the motherfucking gutter. Woo!